Good evening. I would like to call to order the regular meeting of the Monee Village Board of Trustees, April 27th, 2022 at 6:30. If I could please ask Pastor Fettis to come up for the invocation, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Father in heaven, we thank you for all of your blessings. We thank you in this season after Easter for the blessing of your Son Jesus and his resurrection. And we thank you, too, for the land that we live in and the community that we can be part of. We thank you for Monee, for the opportunities we have here, for the people who live here. We pray, Lord, that each person in this community can flourish under your blessing and also, Lord, be a blessing to each other. We thank you for the opportunity to participate in the governance and leadership of our village, and we thank you for our mayor, for those who are trustees, and for all who are involved in administering the various functions of the local government here. We pray too, Lord, for our law enforcement and for those who are first responders, for our teachers, and for all who are involved in public life. We pray for our churches that they can be beacons of light for you here in our village. We thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to have this meeting, and we ask for wisdom for those who are involved in making the decisions. We pray for fairness and for the ability to express what's on our minds well, and for each person here, Lord, who's here to participate as a resident of the village or involved in affairs, we pray, Lord, that you will be the guide and the wisdom for all that happens here tonight. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Roll call, please, Donation.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Here.
Trustee Horn?
Here.
Trustee Henson?
Present.
Trustee Rakes? Trustee Wilson?
Present.
Trustee Udris?
Present.
If I may please have a consensus, Trustee Rakes has sent over information, so she'll be able to participate via phone from everyone? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, Trustee Rakes?
Yes.
Okay, we are here now. This is the village board meeting for April 27th. You have been entered in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving on to open to the public, agenda items only. Moving on to the consent agenda. May I please have a motion to accept?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Henson?
Yes.
Trustee Rakes?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes. Thank you. Clerk's report.
Thank you, Mayor Bogues. Just a couple items tonight. One, on the last board meeting, which was April 13th, item H3, it passed with no objections. However, it needed a resolution number and one was not given. So I just wanted to make sure that we give that a resolution number and that was 2022-4. Second item was the statement of economic interest. There are still 5 left outstanding, and we have a couple days left. I'll make sure that I reach out personally to them instead of mentioning their names, and so that we can make sure we get those in so we don't have any fines or anything. And last but not least, I know that it's a conversation that I've had with many on numerous occasions, and just want to make sure that I myself am communicating with everyone, as well as everyone also communicating to me, the village clerk. When it comes to any meetings or anything, please make sure that I'm aware. Normally, I'm the first to contact it to make sure that there's nothing else going on before we have a meeting, because I was not aware, and I know there were a few others that were not made aware of the meeting. But like I said, I'll make sure that I avail myself. If there's anything anyone to reach out to me, please don't hesitate to do so. And that is it. End of report.
Thank you. Under my report, item number 1, if I could please have a motion to set the public hearing date for the FY 2023 budget for May 25th at 6 PM.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion, anybody? Roll call, please. Just one. Oh, yes, sorry. Did you say 6 PM? That's right before the meeting, so, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, because that's village board meeting is at 6:30. I know, because I did. Yeah. Okay. Would 6:15 be better? Okay, okay. Roll call, please.
Trustee Henson?
Yes.
Trustee Rakis?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Thank you, everybody. Item number 2, if I could please ask Randy Ulaskis to come up for an EMA presentation that he's got.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Board. Very proud day for EMA. I'd like to introduce the EMA responders who are recipients of the 21-22 President's Volunteer Service Awards. Volunteers received a letter from the White House, a certification from President Biden, and the awards in which they are wearing. To receive these awards, to be a bronze medal recipient, you had to have 100 to 250 hours of documented community service. For the silver medal, 250 to 500 hours of documented community service, and the gold medal, 500 or above. From parades, Easter egg hunts, fall fest, tree lightings, to storms, blizzards, floods, fuel spills, traffic management, orderly voting at the village hall, and a little pandemic thrown in there. They have been here 24/7, 365 days a year, many times in the middle of the night, and then going home to work the next day. They make an incredible commitment to the village, and I couldn't be more proud of this volunteer staff that we have working for us. We don't have one award winner, we have 4. Since 2019, EMA responders have responded to 100 calls for service, 87 details, and 106 trainings. And we're on pace for a record year this year. I couldn't be more proud and honored to have them behind me. I'd like to introduce Mike Larson, bronze medal recipient, Norman Flagg, bronze medal recipient, Chad Simpson, bronze medal recipient, and the biggest one yet, Jim Pace, silver medal recipient. I'll do everything I can to have them step up next year and have a gold medal standing in front of us. I think they deserve a nice round of applause. And if we can have a photo op with the mayor and Scott, and Mayor, I'm not going to put you on the spot. If you don't mind taking that jacket off, because we've got a jacket for you. And we'll go inside here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Everybody backs away. One more.
And a big thank you to all the volunteers. I know volunteering takes a lot of commitment and it takes away from a lot of other very important things that people can be doing at home and things like that, so we do appreciate the time and commitment. Thank you very much. Okay, on to the administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. And very quickly, Randy, congratulations to you and your team. That's awesome. Congratulations, guys. First item under my report is a presentation from Farnsworth in reference to our comprehensive park plan. Amy Wilson, it's all yours.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I am glad to see all of you again because the last time I was in front of you, we were talking about embarking on this master plan for Fireman's Park. And now I'm happy to be presenting to you tonight and to the public as well, the final master plan after much discussion, getting input from trustees, the community. We had feedback from the comprehensive plan. And so tonight we're going to walk you through where we've come to and talk to you a little bit about the estimate and how much these things are going to cost and where we're headed next. So if anybody, I am going to present and have stuff up on the screens. There's a board. If anybody would like an actual copy of the master plan, we'll pass those around. Feel free to take those so that you can take a look at it and follow along with us as we go. The trustees should have received in their packets slides or the actual PowerPoint, not the PowerPoint, but the master plan, and then the cost estimate that accompany that. So I'll let you have those so you can refer to them as we go along. So many of you are familiar now if you walk outside the doors of Village Hall, Fireman's Park. This is an image of how it exists today. Through lots of study and input, we have come to a schedule of improvements that I'd like to highlight for you this evening in order to benefit the community more effectively and put in place amenities. So the priorities that were identified from the comprehensive plan, and again, this is just highlighting what we've gone through in the past, were that football field drainage and grading improvements were a priority. Also eliminating the softball field and plan for a future recreational amenity. By eliminating that, however, we were going to reorient the baseball field and actually make it a combination baseball-softball field. That would be added dugouts, batting cages, bullpens, and lighting. We would be demolishing the current concessions building and building a new one that was centrally located to all the future recreational amenities that is accessible with public restrooms. We would provide a paved multi-use path and a loop throughout Fireman's Park with a potential for fitness stations along that multi-use path. Most importantly, we need to have ADA accessibility throughout the site and to all recreational amenities. We would be developing a new and inclusive playground area, and we would be adding more parking along the west part of the property. And in addition to that, new picnic shelters and pavilions for use. So previously, we had outlined what our next steps would be, and I just want to give you an update on kind of where we're at with those steps. We did get approval for the ADA assessment, and that is almost in completion. Will be presented to the trustees and to the Parks and Recreation Department here in the upcoming weeks. Things that have already been completed, we did have our team out and we did a full topographic survey of the entire site. We analyzed the detention pond capacity to make sure that any recreational improvements that we were going to be doing, that it could support drainage for the new impervious surfaces and items. And that drainage study was provided to the village. And then we have designed the Fireman's Park Master Plan to include the recreational amenities that were a priority, and developed the opinion of probable construction costs for these improvements. The next steps that we will be working on moving forward would be preparing the OSLAD application and then talking about budgeting for infrastructure improvements and for the proposed recreational amenity design and construction documents. So that brings us to the master plan. There is a lot on this master plan. As a community park, as a central community park, we are trying to provide a significant amount of recreational amenities that the village doesn't already have and improve the ones that they do have. And so I'm going to go through these one by one. And if you want to follow along with me on your local, your handouts that you guys have, probably be easier to see. So we will go ahead and start, and I have some images that I'm going to kind of flip back and forth between my slides and my PowerPoint presentation to give you graphic examples or photographic examples of potentially what something could be. Not necessarily what it is, but it also helps for the public and for trustees sometimes to visualize what that amenity might look like. So first and foremost, I'm going to point out that the football field, number 20, is not going to be just a football field. As you know now, we don't use it just for a football field. We use it for all sorts of events, we being the Parks and Recreation Department. It would continue to be used for all those events and would be a multi-purpose sports field. Because we would also be trying to include the opportunities for lacrosse and soccer of all different sizes, that space is actually going to expand slightly and open up to the west. So parking would need to be adjusted by that. So you can see all those lines in that dark green rectangular area that is going to be accommodating multiple sports. So as you can see here, we will be able to have soccer, we'll continue to have football program, and then Fall Fest and all of the other programming things that Parks and Recreation in the village comes up with would still happen in that area. We would be proposing additional drainage to help so that it does drain and it can be used year-round. And then we would also be making sure that it is irrigated, so as it is now. Just to the north of that, and I will point over here for those of you. So just to the north, the area where is the existing smaller softball field that's outside right now, you will see number 16 is sand volleyball courts. That we are proposing that there will be 2 side-by-side sand volleyball courts that are accessible. We are proposing to keep, there is currently parking back there, but we will be reorienting that parking so that would run along the east side, again with an accessible sidewalk that comes off of that. Just behind that, where there is currently a concessions building, a smaller concessions building, that would all be removed, and that would be the proposed maintenance and storage shed specifically dedicated to Parks and Recreation Department. So the garage structure that sits closer to Court Street on the front side, just off to the pavilion, would be removed. Everything that's stored in there would be moved to this maintenance building, and then they would have room for additional maintenance and Parks and Recreation storage to happen in that space. Then moving just to the west, where the baseball field is existing, you are going to see that we have reoriented the baseball field. So instead of home plate being up there in the northeast corner, it would actually be down at the southeast corner. And so the reason doing this is because we do have an issue with the slope and the grading of the baseball field that's out there. By reorienting this, we can actually regrade. We would be proposing there has to be a retaining wall of some sort that's going to be on the back side along the backstop that would wrap around those dugouts. And that's also to help change those grades and make it accessible throughout the central area of Fireman's Park. By doing that, we also can make it so that it's a full 250-foot out back fence, so that you can have both combination softball and the baseball teams there. You could even have up to high school aged baseball teams playing out there. Just between the two fields, so the athletic fields between baseball and football, is a new centrally located, number 19, a new centrally located concessions building and restroom building. I did not show you. So here is a look at what the baseball field might look like. You can see the entire infield is skinned. It's all the clay infield mix instead of grass, and that does allow, like I said, for combination use of both baseball and softball. So this is just an example, so please don't think that this is what you'll end up with, but it's an example of the structure, the size of a concessions building with restrooms that potentially could go out there. So at this stage of the game for master planning, we're not designing the actual structures and we're not designing how to build the spaces. We are allocating space and organization for the overall plan and trying to assign costs for these elements so that we can budget and fund them and then move forward into construction documents at a later date. So these are examples of buildings, approximate size of a structure that could go there. Potentially could have 1 or 2 concessions windows. It could have storage in it. And then it would also have 2 restrooms, male and female, and potentially a family restroom as well. But we would make it so that there would be multi-user restrooms. They would not be single-use restrooms. So then just to the south of the concessions building, on this area here, there is a paved area to the south that will run all the way along out to the new entrance off of Court Street into the parking lot. That entrance off of Court Street is going to move slightly westerly of the existing entrance. And the reason, again, is because we were having to expand that multi-sports field width so that we can accommodate all sports for that. And that actually aligns things a little bit better. We would have paved parking lot, number 1, that runs all along West Court Street, and then it's going to turn and run north-south, so that it's just inside the property line where we have the gravel lot off of Court Street, or the gravel road that runs at the rear of those residents, currently up to the playground, the existing playground area. So all of that would be paved on the interior, with sidewalks adjacent to that and drainage, and there would be accessible routes leading up to the concessions building to football, where there would be bleachers and the potential for a press box to be located there. There would also be accessible routes from the parking lot to the creamery, to the baseball field. The volleyball, you can get it's accessible from there to volleyball from that location. Essentially throughout the space, all of the sidewalks will be accessible from the handicap spaces. The next thing that I wanted to draw you to is just to the west side of the existing recreation building and the pavilion. So number 24 and 25 are existing. As you well know, the pavilion is set to be replaced, demolished and replaced, hopefully prior to anything else going in. But just to the west of that space, there is a large rectangular area that is currently void of any recreational amenities. It's where there previously was a home, and that property was purchased by the village, and now is part of Fireman's Park. And so this space is where we are planning to move a lot of the active recreational amenities into here. So this space is packed with a basketball court. My apologies. So with a basketball court, it is a full-size court that would be in there. We also have a pavilion shelter. That pavilion shelter, because it is by the playground and a future splash pad, we would propose that have a single-user restroom attached to that picnic shelter. That keeps parents of young children and those using the pavilion shelter having to cross over and enter into the sports area with the concessions building and the restrooms. Apologize for going through there. So the pavilion, for those of you out here, there's the basketball courts just to the top, And then here is the pavilion, or the new picnic shelter and single-user restroom. Just to the south of that is an inclusive playground area that runs the entire west side of the existing pavilion. And just to the opposite side of that is a fenced-in splash pad, or proposed splash park. So here are potential items that could go in the playground area. We would propose that there be a structure of some kind that would serve all age groups from 6 to 23 months, the 2 to 5-year-olds, as well as the 5 to 12-year-olds. We would have swings as well as probably some independent play pieces. Again, these are all things that will be determined at a future date. You can choose everything from colors to pieces of play equipment, and that's a lot of times a fun public meeting to have, an interactive meeting with the Parks and Recreation Department to get some input from your families and the community. For the splash park area, we did discuss potentially that it would be a Fireman themed splash park. So here's just an example. Again, there's lots of things that can be done out there, from customization to normal areas, but these are all things that you can have a little bit of fun with. So the one that's represented here is actually, you see there's the fire truck. It has a little slide that goes through the middle of it. You see the Dalmatian, and all of this is activated by the, you see the pole in the front, the orange pole. They hit the post, and then it turns on for a certain amount of time and then turns off. It is not a recirculating splash pad, so there is not a shower and restroom building that's required directly for that. We would, however, recommend that you fence it in because it is adjacent not only to parking that's in this location, but to other playground activities. And we find that it's a lot safer for those using this particular splash pad and then also the adjacent activities. With the splash pad, there is not a lot of, there aren't any mature trees over there that would be saved, so that we would be proposing that there be some shade shelters that would be put in there. On the outside edge, you can see on the plan, there's 3 red squares, number 3, and so we would propose that there be some shade structures in that splash pad so that there is a place to take shelter from the sun. As we move up along the parking lot, you'll see number 7 just to the west of the baseball field. And I'm going to backtrack here because I passed it. And that rectangular space is a tennis and pickleball court. Tennis and pickleball is very popular these days as a recreational amenity. We're seeing that. We would have up to, on one full doubles tennis court, we could have 4 pickleball courts. That does require portable nets. A lot of those playing pickleball, do bring those. They come with those and they can have tournaments. But the most users you're going to see, it's a lesser user group quantity of users than, say, basketball or some of the other sports. And so we selected to put it up there adjacent to residential for that reason. The playground is currently where the proposed tennis courts and pickleball courts would be. It's also a quieter sport, and so again, why we selected to have it go there. You will see running just to the east along the side of that tennis court on the plan, and then running up to the north, there's a curvilinear path, and that path continues around and outside of the baseball field, and then it continues down through the back, behind the proposed maintenance building, behind the storage area, along behind the salt storage, and back around to the front where the village hall parking is. That is the extension of the multi-use path. It's an asphalt paved path. This time, that's what we're proposing for running, walking, and any other activities. I don't know that we want to encourage biking, just because of the space overall. Will you have those with cyclists on there? Yes, but it doesn't currently connect to any other bike paths that are going through the community, but we could possibly plan for that in the future. Off of that path to the north, we do have a pedestrian connection for the neighborhood. That was one of the things that was identified in the comprehensive plan, is that we are trying to connect our parks to our neighborhoods. And so we would be providing for that. from the tennis courts back to where the proposed park maintenance building is, we have marked locations for potential fitness stations. Fitness stations would be little bump outs, and there would be selected equipment that could go in each of those spaces. We, again, would select what those would be as we move forward in the design, development, and construction document process. So there are lots of options for those, but it definitely brings another element of recreation to the park that doesn't currently exist. So now comes the fun part. How much does all of this cost? As many of you know, in the last year and a half, we have seen a considerable increase in estimates of construction costs, and some of these elements that you're going to see are no different. I'm not going to bore you and go through every single line item. I am going to highlight, though, the total for each of the amenities. We have arranged them and pulled them into groupings. The reason for doing this is that's how it will be entered when we apply for an OSLAD grant, which is the Open Space Land Acquisition Development Grant. They do ask you to group them into different elements. I also will point out that the infrastructure items that are required to build all of this and for each of these are not included as we go through. Infrastructure items have been pulled out and are included in a section at the end of the estimate. Again, reason being is the OSLAD application only allows for us to pay for up to 10% of infrastructure improvements for these parks. Otherwise, anything beyond that, either the village covers or we have to find funding to support those improvements. So for the multi-use rectangular sports field, the overall dimensions are 180 feet by 372 feet. We have a total cost of $523,460. So that does include earthwork, fine grading, and sod. So sod, so that way it can be immediately used versus seeding it, which you would have to wait an entire season for that to grow in for them to be able to use that. New removable football goalposts, LED scoreboard, bleachers that are ADA compliant, and sports lighting. And you can see that sports lighting is a large chunk of that overall cost. Lighting alone is $280,000 for that portion. All right. The second recreational amenity would be the baseball and softball fields, again with the 250-foot outfield fence. Includes the earthwork, the concrete retaining walls, and masonry dugouts. Fine grade and sod, again, infill mix for the whole thing. 2 new dugouts, bullpens, batting cages, black chain link vinyl fence around the outside with appropriate pedestrian and maintenance gates, LED scoreboard, bleachers, and sports lighting. Again, the total for that is $668,000. The sports lighting is the largest ticket item for that at $250,000. The next item is sand volleyball courts. 2 total of those, includes excavation and all of the amenities, putting back in the net systems with sand. We're at $30,260. The basketball court, again, excavation. It is a proposed asphalt with acrylic surfacing and a concrete barrier along with fencing around the entire outside edge. We're at $99,406. We are not proposing for any amenities other than the baseball field and the football field to have lighting. They're not intended for use after the sun sets. There will be security lighting proposed throughout the park, but nothing more than that. We want to be respectful of the existing limits on park use as well as adjacent residential areas. For the tennis and pickleball court, the total is $98,080. Again, that is an asphalt court pavement with acrylic surfacing. Same, very similar to the basketball courts with the concrete barrier curb and fencing around the entire outside of that. The splash park totals $218,696. That would be for the equipment, a concrete base, as well as the shade structures and ornamental aluminum fencing, say that 3 times fast, around the outside of that. The playground area, we have budgeted $248,920. That is for all of the equipment, a concrete barrier curb around the outside of that with an under-drain system, and engineered wood fiber surfacing. If there is a desire, it is an increased cost. There is options for poured-in-place surfacing, but again, that's increased. Engineered wood fiber is what you see in most parks and rec playgrounds. It is considered an accessible surface. It does require some maintenance to remain that, though. So just so we are aware. So there is opportunity to switch that out if funding is available. I didn't mention, I failed to, my apologies. We do have a cornhole set, outdoor cornhole set, the concrete. Many of you, okay, so Southsiders and things like that, bags? Okay. So in other parts of the state, they call it cornhole, but I know it as bags as well. It is popular, and so by the picnic shelter and the single-user restroom, we are providing for an outdoor set of that, and that is $1,150. Just so you are aware, putting in smaller items like that still increases points for the OSLAD grant, because the more recreational amenities that you add that you do not currently have, it scores higher. So that was a small ticket item, but it actually scores points on the grant application. The fitness stations, we are proposing 5 total. They are at $26,575. Again, that's the fitness equipment and the EWF, the mulch, that for each location. And then the picnic shelter with restrooms, $201,173. That's the shelter, the building itself, the concrete, and the water, sanitary, and electrical connections associated with that. Number 11 on here are the concessions in the restroom building that I showed examples of, $355,500. That is a 25-foot by 40-foot masonry building, concession, storage, and multi-user restrooms. And that does include water, sanitary, and the electrical connection. And then the last building on here is Parks and Recreation Maintenance. It's a 40 by 60 maintenance and storage building that would have office, storage, and single-user restroom, $480,000 for that building. Number 13 are miscellaneous landscape items that happen throughout the park outside of the sports fields, such as fine grading and seeding where grades have to be changed, some additional shade tree plantings, ornamental trees, some shrubs and perennials, and then low-profile native grasses and forbs. And I will point out over here, that is happening in the northeast corner. It's a natural area. We are potentially going to be needing, once we get into infrastructure design for all of these, to have a place for water to travel to prior to entering the detention basin. And so the intent is that those spaces would house that water before entering into the detention basin, the existing basin. So we've been putting in some native plantings. Number 14 is site furnishings, which would be your typical trash receptacles with recycling and trash, bike racks, benches with both backs and arms, and then picnic tables throughout the new structure and in selected locations. Number 15 is, there is a lot. It totals up $1.58 million. That includes all of the concrete sidewalks, both 4-inch and 6-inch. We do have 6-inch sidewalks. The concrete is increased in areas where potentially we would have maintenance vehicles that would be traveling throughout the park in order to maintain the sports fields. So those are upsized. Those are really at the main axes through the park, at the center by the concessions buildings, passing by the football field and south of the baseball field. We have the multi-use trail in there. And then we also have all of the costs for the parking lot lighting, sanitary, storm, water, irrigation for both the baseball field and the sports field, electrical, and then the basin earthwork as well as demolition. So So I'm going to leave that up there for a minute. If anybody has questions on any of these items, I know that I flew through them and it's difficult for you all to see those. I'd be happy to answer any questions, or if you would like to take a look at it, we have copies that we can get to everyone of that. So the grand total for the construction estimate, we have provided some contingencies in here as well as a construction contingency. So you know OSLAD, the next application that they will be accepting is in 2023. So potential construction would not begin until 2024. So we have to fast forward if we're waiting on some of these amenities and add a percentage to account for inflation in construction materials and costs. The grand total for everything is $6.278 million. Lots of questions. Hit me.
So the proposal is to do this in phases, if I'm understanding it correctly. Let's talk about the sports field first. If you were to, if we were to go ahead with a sports field, does that mean that the field would be shut down for one season?
So what we would do is we would set up a timeline specifically for, there's some infrastructure that has to happen prior to any of the phase development. We have outlined what that infrastructure needs to be and what the fees are to have that happen. So that's essentially the underground infrastructure that needs to tie in the main lines running north-south and east-west and getting some of those things into place. Once that's in place, it can be determined what you want to include in phase one, what needs to be included in phase two, and that's something that we need further direction on, and that would be identified in the OSLAD application as well. The OSLAD application, it provides for a 50% match up to $400,000. So the village is required to put a minimum of $400,000 towards the project, but it can't be, again, more than 10% infrastructure. So we're trying to balance what do we want to do as far as recreational amenities and construction, and what do we have to pay for outside of that and go ahead and get started prior to award of any OSLAD funding or potential DECO funding or any other grants that may become available. So with the football field, we would hopefully time it so that there would be as little disruption to programming as possible, but you will have to be planning to utilize another location during the construction period. So I know that's an inconvenience. Many parks and recreation departments have had to do that. They've worked with adjacent park districts, adjacent parks and recreation departments to identify fields in order to still have that programming nearby while it's under construction.
I could jump
Yeah,
in.
please, Ken.
Ken
Ken Chastain, sorry.
Thank you for giving us the chance to be here tonight. It's good to see you all again. And Amy, did a great job. You know, this is exciting because you're talking about a total makeover of your central town square, right? I mean, this is an incredible amount of work, and that's the challenge, though. It's an incredible amount of face makeover of the whole place. So what we're really asking for is, can we get an idea, is this like a good big picture of this? Are there any tweaks we need to do? Give you an idea about these costs that are involved here, but also what we'll need on the next steps. And these next steps are important, is that, you know, this implementation plan. We need to have an idea by priorities, number one, sequencing, and then we can put together an implementation plan to be able to do those. And the first part is really what Amy was talking about, and that is, we all recognized when we did this public engagement is that we have a water problem here. You know, we have drainage problems. What we determined is that the pond that you own has the capacity with a few minor improvements to be able to take that water. We can add more impervious surfaces, we can add more of those pathways, we can add that parking that you've been wanting all these years. We need to do a little improvements on the pond, so that's number one. Number two is we gotta find a way to collect that water. So having a central collection trunk line going north and south from port all the way out to the pond, and then being able to have a leg that goes west to take in some of these improvements, particularly for the parking. We want to be able to get that in. And what Amy is pointing out is that there are a lot of grants that we can look for very few of them they all have an identity to them and they have a purpose. And the park grant that she's talking about, this OSLAD grant, is really focused on the non-infrastructure. So to make this implementation work, we're going to need to dig. And to do that, we need to know some ideas about the priorities, because we could actually do something. Let's say we want to put in that trunk line and collect that water and get it out to the pond. Do that ahead of time before the OSLAD grant goes into effect, before we apply for it. Get that done with village funds. But we'll need to know, what's the next priority? Is it the baseball field? Because if it's the baseball field, that affects what we do, because we're going to generate a certain amount of earthwork. And a good time to do that, while we're doing that underground work, is to take care of that baseball field. But if football is the first priority, then we can make that happen too. So the sequencing is important, but I think what Amy's done real well here is to try to give a big picture. Does this meet the needs of the community based on the engagement we got and your stakeholder input? And then we can help you put that plan together, working with Public Works, working with Diana, and working with all of you. So we're here to help make that happen.
Well, first off, thank you so much for coming out and giving this. I mean, I think this is just wonderful. I love the look of it. The one question that was popping in my head, and you're talking about OSLAD, and this is obviously going to be a project that's going to take place over numerous years. Do we only have one opportunity to apply for that grant for this entire project, or because it's in different phases, will we have multiple opportunities for that grant?
That's a really good question. So OSLAD provides that you can submit multiple phases, and you can do it year after year. If you wanted to go ahead and implement, if you submitted in 23, were awarded it and began construction in 24, you could still simultaneously, you could submit in 24 for funding to that next phase. A lot of communities don't typically do that because that's a lot going on, so they'll skip a year because there's a 2-year construction period that's allowed for OSLAD between your contract when it starts and when it ends. But you absolutely are eligible to submit for funding for multiple phases.
And that is a $400,000 grant, and they'll pay. It's really geared to be 50-50. So if you put in 400, they'll put in 400. You put in 300, they'll put in 300. The important thing to know too, though, is that there are a lot of pieces to this as well that we can search out for other grants. So let's say that we apply for OSLAD and we're moving through this staging, as you suggested. If we're able to go to the state in the budget and able to get some money to help with the parking lot, we need to be able to search for that. So what we want to do is we want to help you put these pieces together for funding, so it's not just on your back or with the Illinois Department of Natural Resources.
So my question, I guess, is, partly OSLAD too, and knowing an infrastructure, and if we can't apply now until 23, I guess I'm asking the mayor and administrator, if we set priorities and we're able to start digging, or what shovel ready or whatever, can we start on the project before we apply for OSLAD then? And then, seeking out other grants, at the same time as well. So when I know OSLAD, and I was going to ask about the lighting, because I know that used to be like the hot button, like for the outdoor and the sports lighting and the bleachers and things. That used to be like, a big ticket item that they always like to help with. Still the case?
They will help with all amenities that are associated with recreational purposes. So the bleachers and site furnishings, goalposts, scoreboards, all of that is covered under OSLAD grants, in addition to the grading of the actual field, the sod and the seed and the painting and all of that. So they will help with that. The lighting can also be included in OSLAD as well, so that can be funded, because that is, again, essential to the use of that particular recreational amenity to extend the hours of that space. All of OSLAD is based on making a recreational space that is available for public use. It's not restrictive to users or to time, so it can be rented out for parks and recreation programming, but majority of that needs to be open to the public.
So I think she might have stated it before, but just for public knowledge, this is all paid up front by the village. It's a reimbursement program. So we have, in this budget, have put aside monies to start this first phase. And so we recently had a meeting with Farnsworth, with Amy, and we were putting those projects in queue, prioritizing, and everything is timing right now with, as she mentioned, disruption. And so we know that football starts sometime in July, and so we want to get things moving in motion quickly. And I'm guessing, or at least our last conversation was that we were going to start with the football field, as the drainage is kind of our thoughts at this point.
So it was identified prior to us coming into the comprehensive plan. We had heard that that was a major issue. It had been for many years before the drainage was an issue. And so it still remains at the top of the list. And when we did the comprehensive plan and we got public input and stakeholder input, that was still identified as the number one. So it's obvious that football would be the football field would be number one. I think baseball was the next one in line. So those really are two of the bigger items. I think when we first embarked on this process, though, we didn't know what funding would be available or how much things would cost by the time we made it through the whole process with all of the amenities. So if we want to identify those as phase one and put all of the items in place that are associated with that, that can be done. But we need to look at then overall what would be accomplished prior to OSLAD, because when we submit for OSLAD, you can show them we have already made a financial investment. We're already working on this project and it's in place, and that actually does give you higher points to show that you have already input money and effort into the project and that you're continuing it. They will come out once you apply and they take a look at your site and they take a look at your other parks and they take a look at maintenance, and they want to make sure that you are investing in your parks and in your recreational amenities, because they want to give money to communities that are going to properly care for these spaces and continue to have them for public use for many years to come.
I think Trustee Horn brought up a good question and point, and that was about the implementation, particularly with the baseball, making plans now for that alternative site for baseball or football if we have to. So having that relationship with some of your neighbors where you might be able to have a season there, because I think being prepared for it, one of the things we know in this economy, if it continues, is it takes a while to get projects going because of the shortage of labor and all the demand. So being able to have that flexibility, if the village can start working on the programming end, that helps you look ahead for it.
Amy,
Yes, Trustee Wilson.
I have a question. As far as what would be your professional opinion as far as the village and what we should, meantime, while we have this break in the action until we put in for the grant, as far as putting into or investing into the program, as infrastructure, what programs do you suggest we do?
So initially, I think the first thing obviously would be your infrastructure, because those are items that won't be covered by the grant. So the underground stuff, unfortunately, not the things that people see, but that make things more functional for us for use in the future. The next thing that I would focus on in addition to that would be making sure you're getting accessible routes in from the existing parking that you have. And then identifying, maybe not in implementing and putting in all of the proposed parking, but maybe phasing some of that parking so that it can utilize your existing recreational amenities such as the pavilion and the recreation building and the creamery. Start to put in those main circulation pathways and routes and the infrastructure that's going to happen around. But we have to be mindful of future phases for these amenities, because we are going to have construction traffic that would be coming in and out for future phases. And so we need to leave an opening for that and make sure that there's not a lot of congestion. So there is some strategy in that as far as phasing. We don't want to build the outside and leave a hole in the middle and then damage and tear stuff out that's on the outside. So
yeah, the infrastructure speaking about would be the storm drainage, water supply going to stubbing it out for the buildings as far as we can, so we still have that traffic for construction. And then sanitary for those buildings, for the concessions, any electrical that we want to put in underground. But getting that out of the way is going to be a huge benefit particularly in that grant competition, it is very, very competitive. If we can show that Monee is invested in the public engagement, the master planning, the comprehensive planning, and they've actually started putting money into this and budgeted for it, we think we've got a good shot because you guys are so under the state average for the type of acreage that the state wants to see. You know, so we can really improve that just by the fact that we've got this scoring benefit that we have.
Anything additional? I don't know if you want to ask if the public has any questions regarding the plan. Okay. All right, well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Ken. The next presentation is Jim Bostic with Sophomore Botanicals. Mr. Bostic is going to introduce himself and his team, and they're interested in starting up a business here in Monee.
Well, good evening, thank you. Get our presentation going here. So we do appreciate taking the time to have us come here tonight and present about our company, Sophomore Botanicals, and also talk a little bit about the Industrial Hemp program that Illinois has, as well as some Industrial Hemp program that the U.S. government has put in place as well. I'm Jim Bostic with Sophomore Botanicals. I'm here with my wife, Estella Gomez Bostic, and my cousin, Tim Horace. We'd like to kind of start off first with just talking a little bit about what industrial hemp is and some facts and information about the program. The timeline that we show here kind of shows you the progression throughout the years for the hemp program for the nationwide as well as for Illinois. In 2014, the original Farm Bill was passed by Congress, which did then open up states to be able to create industrial hemp programs that would allow farms to grow again for hemp. In 2017, we opened up Soulful Botanicals, and that was created to help brands enter that hemp and CBD space. In 2018, Congress then updated the Farm Bill to make it a little bit clearer about what industrial hemp is and the extracts that you can create from those plants. And it also opened up a little bit more options for banking and credit card processing for farms and businesses that wanted to create a hemp business. In 2019, Illinois created their industrial hemp program, and then that then opened up farmers to be able to grow hemp here in the state, as well as processors to set up to extract those plants into different cannabinoids. So hemp has many different uses, and there are different strains depending on the use that a farmer would grow. There is hemp for CBD, which is what we're currently focused on, and that is part of the flower part of the plant, and it's used primarily for the health and medicinal purposes. There is hemp for food products, and that is from the seed part of the plant, and that is used for the nutritional benefits for food. There's also hemp for fiber products, and that's taken from the stalk of the plant, and that's to create textiles, rope, paper, construction materials, and has other uses as well. And again, the main thing is that there are different strains of hemp plants that are used for these different purposes. There's some differences between hemp and cannabis that we would like to point out. First off, hemp is a strain that is grown for the higher levels of CBD while maintaining low levels of THC in the plants. Hemp is less regulated. It is regulated through the Illinois Department of Agriculture, and it's very easy for any farm in the state that wants to grow or any processor that wants to extract hemp to maintain and get a license through the Illinois Ag Department. Cannabis is much more regulated, and there are a limited number of licenses available for folks to set up businesses to grow and process for the THC side. So there's a lot more regulations that are in place for that. The federal government has made hemp legal throughout the entire U.S. This has opened up opportunities, for instance, for the USDA to come in and provide farm crop insurance for farmers, and also grants and funding for farmers to help them with their hemp farms. And again, in Illinois, our hemp program was opened up in 2019, and we do have a very robust program here that allows farms to grow and extractors to process. There's also some differences between CBD and THC that we'd like to point out. CBD and THC are both different cannabinoids within the plant. CBD provides more health benefits, including anxiety relief, pain reduction due to reduction in inflammation, and also can help with sleep. CBD doesn't have any psychoactive effect to it, while THC does carry a psychoactive effect. With that, it does make some uses of THC more recreational, but CBD is purely on the health and wellness side. There is a legal limit that the U.S. government has set for THC in plants and products that are grown through the Industrial Hemp program. That limit is 0.3% or less. And we also make sure that we do test for those THC limits at different parts through the process. In the fields where the farmers are growing those plants, we test. When the plants come into our facility for us to extract and process, we again test for the THC levels. And then when the products go to the consumers on the finished product side, we test a third time to make sure that we're within the compliance of the 0.3% or less for the THC. The future for hemp in Illinois does look very promising. Currently now we are focused on CBD or hemp for CBD. That's where we are focused right now ourselves. There's just a lot of interest and consumer interest, especially in the health benefits that CBD provides. So there's a lot of focus on that currently right now, and we've got all the infrastructure in place for that part of industrial hemp. Within 2 years, we do see that hemp for food will become more widely available within the states. There is less infrastructure cost that's required to set up processing for hemp for food products, and a lot of these farms also already have equipment in place that they can utilize for planting soybeans that could be used for processing and growing hemp for food. Hemp for fiber will become a viable crop for Illinois farmers. We do see that taking place over the next 3 to 5 years. That's mainly due because there's a large capital investment in the infrastructure in order to process for fiber, but it will get there eventually over time. So we are Sophomore Botanicals. We're a health and wellness company. We're currently located in the unincorporated area, and we would like to move here within the village. There's a great opportunity for a building off of Emerald Parkway across from the Amazon warehouse, where we can enter into a 5-year lease. A lot more amenities with that building, so one of the benefits of moving will be better location for us. There's a better layout, there's better power within the building. And I would like to bring up to an opportunity for retail presence on a small scale. We do currently allow folks to come in, we give them a tour of the facility, they can purchase CBD products with us where we're at currently. We probably get 2 to 3 people a month with that. Ideally, it would be great if we could get 2 to 3 people a day with the new location, kind of being closer to a more populated area. So I do want to make sure that the village is okay with that, and we can take the steps that's needed to see if that's a possibility for us to make that happen at that location. And we want to make sure, too, our new landlord is also comfortable with that as well. So I want to highlight the opportunity for retail presence. We were one of the first companies in Illinois to set up for industrial hemp. We have over 5 years of experience in the industry. We're a vertically integrated company, and we've launched hundreds of brands throughout the years. Currently, we're working with a lot of farms, local farms, to help them create brands and also profit from industrial hemp. So our services, because we're vertically integrated, we have services from cultivation to finished products. We do offer cultivation consulting services. We offer plants to farms that will grow those plants. They'll bring those plants back to us where we'll process and extract that into CBD extracts. will take those CBD extracts and manufacture finished products for a number of private label, white label brands that we work with, as well as some of our own internal brands too. Recently, we've started to get into more branding and internet marketing by developing internet websites for these farms and also helping them with some internet marketing to get their products and brands out to consumers. We work a lot with local Illinois farms. Probably 90% of the farms that we do work with are here from the state of Illinois. And there is a large diversity of Illinois farms working with hemp and working in the hemp program. These are just a few of the different farms that we do work with and create brands and help them succeed with hemp. We've launched a number of successful brands over the years. These are just a few of those brands. One thing we'd like to point out too is besides farm brands, we do work with chiropractors and doctors and have a wide range of folks that create CBD brands in order to put that out to their customers. We do feel that we are leading the field in hemp, and these are just some of the examples of some of the things that we've done for the hemp industry here in Illinois. We were asked to present at the Illinois Hemp Summit for the Illinois Agriculture Department. We helped to shape some of the regulations early on so that we could have a very robust hemp program here in the state. We were the first company to bring industrial hemp to the Illinois State Fair and present that to the attendees for the state fair. We work with a lot of local farm bureaus, and we bring those farmers and farm bureaus in to tour the facility and help educate them with the opportunity with hemp. And along the way, we have met many amazing folks. I had an opportunity at one grow facility we're at to meet Jesse White, so I made sure to get my photo op for that at that time. There's some reasons why our CBD is better. And one of those is obviously because it's locally grown and sourced hemp. We do have full chain of custody from the plant all the way to the bottle. Everything that we do is fresh, made to order. We do small batch processing, so that makes sure that it keeps the products very fresh going to the consumers. We have advanced formulations. We've been working with these formulations for a number of years, so we feel that we're way ahead of other folks out in the marketplace as far as the formulations and how the products are. Very important, we do full screening of the plant material and the finished products while we're going through our process. When the plants come in, we do pesticides and heavy metal testing, and we also do solvents and potency testing both at the CBD extract level and at the finished product level. All these tests are also third-party independent labs that test for these things for us, and it's a very important process, part of the process as we extract and manufacture products. So we do thank you again for allowing us to come here and talk a little bit about who we are and the program. We are family-owned, we are veteran-owned, female-owned, and we'd really love the opportunity to answer any questions. We did bring some samples as well if anybody is interested to try CBD or look at some of the products that we make. We do have some sample packs available, and we're happy to answer any questions anybody might have. Thank you. Yep.
I guess the first question that I have, I just want to make sure that I'm on the right track with you guys.
Yes, sir.
The product that you produce, is that product that is sold only through dispensaries, or is this the level of CBD that you see at like CBD stores and other locations like that sell it?
Yes, it is not dispensary level. It is available throughout the whole U.S. through any retail location. There's no restrictions on those products like you would have with THC products. And again, that's because the U.S. government has set pretty strict requirements on the percentage of THC that can be in those products. And 0.3% is very small amount that doesn't give anybody any psychoactive effects.
So it's not like you're having to go through to like the licensing, and
No,
all of that
folks don't
they have
need-
for
yes,
the
sir.
cannabis out there.
Yes, folks don't need any licensing to purchase. You can purchase online from many different CBD brands throughout different states. And there's no licensing needs for a consumer to purchase the products.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
So if I understand this correctly, the difference between industrial hemp versus marijuana, would it be the THC level?
Absolutely, yes. So the THC level in the plants, these plants are genetically grown so that they have very low levels of THC originally in the plants and higher levels of CBD in the plants. And so that's one thing that Congress keyed in on, is making sure that that was the distinction between what we would call hemp and what other folks would consider marijuana.
So you grow this as well, correct?
We work with farms here
Okay.
locally in Illinois, so we have the farms grow this for themselves, really, because they create brands and other products out of the plants that they grow on their farms. And then we help them turn those plants into CBD extracts and finished products. We don't personally do any growing ourselves. We just partner with farms throughout the state to do that part of it for us.
Okay, thank you.
So just that statement then itself, and then you said you have like chain of command, or however
Yes,
you
chain
say-
of custody,
Chain of
yes.
custody throughout then. So if you're getting the product from the farms then so the inside of your facility or your space will kind of look like a laboratory.
Very much so, yes.
Who's the chemist?
We don't have a chemist on site.
Okay.
We're very entrepreneurial folks, and we've
So you've
been-
obviously learned all of this though?
Yes, we roll
Okay.
up our sleeves and get to work and learn what we need to learn. There are definitely compliance issues that we make sure we follow. We are regulated by the state of Illinois. We work closely with the fire department, the local fire department, whatever business licenses and other things, hence we're here today.
Do you have to have like a license to do what you do by the Department of Ag?
Yes, so to be a farmer that would grow hemp in the state of Illinois, or to process hemp into CBD extracts or for food products or whatever that may be, you have to be licensed at the facility location, so it is location dependent. You'd have to be licensed by the Illinois Ag Department for that actual location. You have to send them information of as far as where that location is. They report that to local police departments so that it's all understood that this is hemp and not, not marijuana.
And then how does it arrive to you?
So farms bring it to us. It comes in big super sacks. They normally will deliver it themselves. CBD is not large scale, so we don't ever recommend farms to do more than 1 to 3 acres anyway, because it is a lot of labor intensive work for the farm. It's a specialty crop in that sense. So a lot of times we're getting 3, 4, 5 sacks of hemp that the farmer has harvested at their location. There's a big process behind that as well. They have to dry that material, buck the material off the stem, also mill the material so that it's better able for us to process. So a lot of that work is done at the farmer location, and then they just transport it to us as needed. So part of the 2018 Farm Bill too, there was a change, because before, with 2014, hemp had to stay within the state that the program was set up. You weren't able to transfer hemp across state lines. In 2018, the U.S. government introduced into that Farm Bill Act the ability for us to transfer hemp material across state lines freely without any interference from even a state that may not have a hemp program. So right now, 90% of our farms are Illinois-based farms. We do have a couple farms, one in Texas, we have a couple in Wisconsin, one in Indiana, that we have spread out a little bit through the Midwest, because since 2018, we can now transport the hemp material across state lines.
And like beginning to end of process, does it depend on what it is that you're making? Like when you receive the product?
No, there's differences in what a farm would grow as far as the CBD levels or other cannabinoids that might be in the plant, but ultimately all that material ends up into a CBD extract that's pretty similar in most respects, that we then put into the finished products.
Thank you.
Sure, yep.
Hey, Jim.
Yes, sir.
Currently, how many employees do you have?
We have 7, and we are looking to add 2 more employees. We're looking to add front office help as one position, and then we also have an opening for another lab tech in the lab to help with increased demand for products that we have to make. So 7 now with two more coming on.
Thank you.
Sure.
And is this like a 24/7 business that you'd be, or, what type of hours of operation are you looking at?
No, it would not be. We may occasionally have a later shift gentleman in the lab. So our first front production lab starts at 7 a.m. and then we have regular 8, 9 to 5 type of hours. We do have a late shift that would come in around 11, and he's generally done by 8, 9 o'clock at night. We don't generally work weekends. We do come in occasionally on the weekends, so it's a Monday through Friday type of setup. Other than that, I mean, my wife and my cousin, we all work 24 hours on it, even if we're not there. But operating hours would be from like 7 to 8 p.m. Sure. Yep.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Yes,
time.
we do appreciate taking the time to have us come here and present. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, next item under my report is the bid award recommendation for the 2022 roadway maintenance project. Bids were received on April 19th, 2022 for the 2022 Monee roadway maintenance project documented below. Iroquois Paving Corporation, $1,390,972.58. PT Farrell Corporation, $1,557,789.08. As itemized in the attached bid tabulation, the low bid is approximately 10.8% lower than the estimated cost of $1,559,227.50. The action requested is a motion to award the contract of the 2022 Monee roadway maintenance project to Iroquois Paving Corporation, the lowest bid, in the amount of $1,390,972.58.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Henson?
Yes.
Trustee Rakis?
Yes.
Thank you, Board. Next item is a bid award recommendation for well number 3, water main reconfiguration. Bids were received on April 19th, 2022 for the well number 3 water main reconfiguration project and documented below. Iroquois Paving Corporation, $153,717.50. M&J Underground Incorporated, $189,196.80. Aries Inc., $191,840.50. Austin Tyler Construction Company, $196,196.69. H. Lyndon and Sons Sewer and Water, $234,960.00. As itemized in the attached bid tabulation, the low bid is approximately 1.6% lower than the estimated cost of $156,255.00. The action requested is a motion to award the contract of well number 3 water main reconfiguration project to Iroquois Paving Corporation, the lowest bidder, in the amount of $153,717.50.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Henson?
Yes.
Trustee Rakis?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Thank you. Next item is a resolution to adopt the Will County All Hazards Mitigation Plan. Recently, the Will County Emergency Management Agency coordinated planning efforts to revise the countywide All Hazards Mitigation Plan. This effort included municipalities, multiple emergency management agencies, and organizations to develop and improve the plan, which focuses on future efforts to minimize the impact of disasters and to better plan for disaster response. The Village of Monee participated in this planning and has provided much emergency management support to Eastern Will and Southern Cook County region. by maintaining a current hazard mitigation plan which is in accordance with state and federal mitigation planning requirements, will ensure Monee will continue to be eligible for federal pre-disaster and post-disaster mitigation funds. The action requested is a motion to pass the resolution to adopt the Will County All Hazards Mitigation Plan.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Henson?
Yes.
Trustee Rakis?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Thank you.
2022-5.
The next item, the Professional Engineering Service Agreement Award for the Department of Public Works new facility. At the March 23rd board meeting, Farnsworth Group and White and Associates gave overview presentations showcasing their company's history and experience regarding engineering and architectural services for municipal building projects. They also shared their capabilities of providing professional services to the village regarding construction of a new public works facility. Therefore, we respectfully request the board's approval to enter into a professional service agreement with one of the engineering firms for the new construction project of the public works facility. The action requested is a motion to select one of the engineering firms, either White and Associates or Farnsworth Group, to engineer and design the new Department of Public Works facility.
I would like to make the motion
Are they
for,
selecting
to
one right
make
now?
I would-
sure.
Well, yeah, so,
So they need to select a motion.
Select a motion to select Farnsworth.
I'll second that.
okay, discussion?
Just for the record, that was actually the March 30th meeting. We did not have a meeting on the 23rd.
Thank you, Doug.
And I'd just like to thank both companies, White and Farnsworth, for their due diligence on that project and putting together the presentation. I was impressed by both, actually.
And I will just go saying the two that I heartily agree that both Farnsworth and White and Associates are very capable in accomplishing this project for us. And of the two presentations too, although I will agree with, go along with the project award to Farnsworth, I was very much in favor of the presentation of White and Associates and what they brought to the table too. So I'm just one vote.
Any other further discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Henson?
Yes.
Trustee Rakis?
No.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
The end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruben. Moving on to the officials' reports, Public Works, Trustee Horn.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A few items of interest for you regarding Department of Public Works. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Calvin Moonchow, who's on our staff. He's been with us 3 years, and he just passed his licensing exam, and he is now the village's 4th licensed water operator, and so I'm sure his services will come in very handy, and I have a little bit of familiarity with that test, and it's quite rigorous. A lot of different areas of understanding. So congratulations to Calvin. Now, we need to discuss the road restoration on Lyndon Avenue, Main Street, and Will Center Road. And so those residents who live in those areas, you'll notice that they have been torn up since last fall. So spring is coming, so there's no reason The weather is not going to be a reason not to have those, the restoration done. And Iroquois Paving says that will be starting by the end of this week. So that means, in my understanding, either tomorrow or Friday. So weather permitting, they always put that caveat in there. But we should see this starting, again, they say this week, very soon. If it doesn't happen this week, please let me know. Contact me, email me. My website, my email is on the website. Let me know how that's going in your neighborhood, because we do want to stay on top of that. Branch pickup is next scheduled for May 18th and 19th. So the good news is I see people cutting their lawns and picking up sticks and so forth, cleaning up their lawns. So you'll have an opportunity for branch pickup May 18th and 19th. And we do that, by the way, for 2 days every month. So we'll have a schedule out for you on that. And also, I believe the website talks about how you should bundle these things up and so forth. I won't go into that right now. Yeah, that is on the website. Department of Public Works has needs part-time help wanted. Would be assist with property maintenance, such as grass cutting, tree trimming, and other maintenance-related tasks. The job description and application are on the villageofmonee.org website. And then lastly, the I-57 maintenance project. IDOT has contracted with Gallagher Asphalt to complete the construction project on a 13-mile stretch of I-57 between Kankakee County Line and Stager Road. The scope includes standard asphalt overlay, patching, rest area improvements, way station repairs, and bridge deck sealing located within the villages of Peatone, Monee, and University Park. Construction is scheduled to begin in May, and it is estimated to be completed in November, thus proving the point that there are two seasons in Illinois, winter and construction. End of my report.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation, Trustee Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mayor. Few announcements for Parks and Recreation. The Easter egg hunt was a lot of fun for about 400 children who picked up 5,000 eggs in 13 seconds. Thank you to Monee Alliance of Churches for donating the winning baskets, and thank you. There was 50 baskets, and thank you to all the families and the dogs who came to take pictures with the bunny as well. Over the past month, the baseball fields have been getting some much-needed baseball field mix called mid-low. Thanks to the help of Public Works and Dan Trofimchuk, who installed 13 semi-trucks of dirt. 9 semis of dirt were spread on the main baseball field to get ready for the first game this week. And if you saw them freezing out there, reinstalling bases and pitching mounds for 2 different age groups, spreading stone in the dugouts, and the remaining dirt went on the baseball fields across the street so the teams can practice on them safely. So many weeks and hours went into this project, and the baseball teams are very grateful. So thank you, Dan and company. And as we kind of alluded to before, the Park Pavilion will, because of the present condition of it, will be getting replaced with a new one. So in the coming weeks, the demolition of our Park Pavilion is coming down, and it'll have a 3-season tent out there for this season until a new one can be installed, and those plans are underway. And came out this week. I hope you all had a chance to see it. We're also doing Curb Appeal Awards again this year. So if you're very proud of your front yard, if you're very proud of your neighbor's front yard and would like to enter them into the Curb Appeal Award, please do so. And then the other one, next week is Cinco de Mayo, and Gracie's Lucky Burrito, and along with Parks and Rec, they're giving away 100 free tacos starting at 3 p.m., limit 1 taco per person, while supplies last. And as I understand it, there probably is going to be some mariachis out there as well. So, and then a couple other things, Monee Women's Club, and this is the other thing happening this week. So there is a vendor vendor fair and showcase at New Hope Christian at 4700 West Court Street. And we have 30 vendors completely filled this year, crafters, vendors, shows, all kinds of things, and chili and cookies. So if 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., so please come out and go shopping. And if you've ordered also from our spring flower fundraiser, those flowers will be able to be picked up at the vendor fair this weekend too. End of report.
Thank you. Finance, Trustee Rakis.
Trustee Rakis?
Yes,
Do you have a report?
I do. Give me 1 second, honey. The Finance Department is finishing up the annual American Rescue Plan Act reporting requirements due 4/30/22. The village is performing within current budget expectations, and as of March 31st, the general fund expenses were 48.87% budgeted expenses. Also, as of March 31st, the general fund revenue has surpassed budgeted revenue by 69.42%. The village expects that the fiscal year 2022 will end April 30th with a surplus. End of report.
Thank you. Economic Development, Trustee Wilson.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm sorry. No new business license have been issued. As we've heard Sophomore Botanicals' presentation, they've reached out to the village in reference their hemp botanical business on the west side of, potentially on the west side of the village. The water design has been completed for the water tower design, excuse me. That'll be displayed later. Economic development video has also been completed, which is coming to a theater near you soon. Village signage program is in full force. We're moving forward with it. And I'd just like to encourage everyone to shop Monee when available, and also to check out the Facebook and webpage, villageofmonee.org, when have the opportunity. And a report, ma'am.
Thank you. Building Services, Trustee Henson.
No report this week, Mayor.
Okay. And Public Safety, Trustee Udris.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple things. First off, once again, congratulations to you guys, gentlemen, from EMA for what you've given this village. I hope everybody heard and paid attention to the number of hours that each one of these gentlemen put in just to help make us safer in town, and it's very much appreciated. And as Randy said, they've given up nights, they've given up weekends, but they've also given up holidays, and they've given up family functions and everything else just to serve our community. And I, for one, and I think I speak for the trustees and the residents of Monee when I say thank you for what you have done for this village. With that, EMA has been busy. On April 13th, they assisted the fire department with power lines down on South Ridgeland Avenue near Bruns Road. On April 16th, they assisted the Parks and Recreation with the Village Easter egg hunt. On the 22nd of this month, I also assisted Monee Reservoir staff with traffic control for their Earth Day cleanup. And again, just a small sample of what they do, because they also help surrounding communities around here as well. For our police department is officially accepting applications for new officers. Applytoserve.com has the applications. Information is available on blueline.com website and also the villageofmonee.org site. Any questions, you can give our deputy chief here a call at 708-534-8308 if you have any questions. It's one heck of a department, very up and coming, very state-of-the-art with their training, and if you're looking for a career in law enforcement, this definitely is a place to take a look at. So, end of report.
Thank you, Scott. Attorney's report, Larry.
Thank you, Mayor. 3 items for the board's consideration. The first item is an ordinance for Blue Beacon variance.
Blue Beacon is here tonight, but it was presented before the zoning board, I believe about a week to 10 days ago. They are asking for certain variances with respect to the signage that they are presently located at 25620 South Cleveland. The zoning board did issue a favorable recommendation to the full board for a variance on behalf of Blue Beacon USA LP.
I have a motion.
You need a motion for that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Motion,
need a
please.
motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
Is this related to, what was it, about a year ago that we had the presentation about the addition that they wanted to put on this? This is all part of that, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Trustee Henson?
Yes.
Trustee Rakis?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Ordinance number is 2000.
Thank you, Mayor. The next item is a liquor license request for the School District U 201 Foundation. This is for May 14th. It's a one-day event for the Spring Fling, I think it's referred to. They did provide evidence of insurance, and it's up for the board's review and consideration.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
So I don't know if anybody remembers, this is, they're bringing used to be called the Wine and Cheese event, the, Crete Monee Education Foundation Wine and Cheese event. They're bringing it back, and it's going to be held at the Heritage Center this year. So I think it would be a great addition, to what the festivities are, especially at the Heritage Center too. So I hope not only do we vote for it, that, people will attend. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I'd just like to piggyback off of you. Those who haven't been at the Heritage Center yet or had opportunity to be in there, it's a perfect opportunity to come and take a look around. It's awesome. It's amazing what's been done in there, so go check it out.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Henson?
Yes.
Trustee Rakis?
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. And the last item for the board's review and consideration, we received a plat of easement from Thornton's in connection, obviously, with their project. We would need approval for the appropriate government officials to execute the same on behalf of the Village of Monee.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
Can you add a little more detail to what they're planning to do with this? Not at this.
No, not really. It was given, I believe, to Jeff. They've been working out there quite a bit, and Jeff, I understand, reviewed it and accepted it, but we need a motion for the mayor and government officials to execute the same.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Henson?
Yes.
Trustee Rakis?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
That's
Thanks,
all I
Lynn.
have, Your Honor.
Okay. Any unfinished business? Any new business? Open to the public. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Are you sure? Trustee Gonzalez?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Henson?
Yes.
Trustee Rakis?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.